The alien patrol ship moved slowly through the silent edge of their empire. Captain Rail stood in the center of the bridge, his eyes fixed on the strange signal blinking on the screen. It was weak and unstable, almost like the last breath of a dying machine. His crew waited for orders, nervous but curious. This part of space was usually empty, but today something unusual was calling them. They followed the signal until a small shape appeared in the distance. It drifted quietly, without any lights, without any sign of life. When the ship came closer, the crew finally saw it clearly. It was a small human research vessel, floating like a lost ghost. Its engines were off, its systems cold, and its windows dark. Rail relaxed a little. Humans were a new species, but their technology seemed simple compared to alien standards. This small ship did not look dangerous at all. Rail sent a greeting message. For a moment, there was no reply. Then a calm human voice spoke through the speakers. The voice was friendly, almost too calm for a ship in such a bad state. The human said they were explorers, collecting data on deep space. He apologized for the ship's condition and said they meant no harm. Rail accepted the explanation, but he still felt something strange around them, like the space itself was hiding a heavy secret. The crew began scanning the area around the drifting human ship. At first everything looked normal, but then one of the officers noticed something strange on the long-range sensors. A very small distortion. Almost nothing. But it was there. And it was moving. Rail frowned. The distortion was too big to belong to a small ship, but too far to clearly identify. When he asked the human captain if they had any other ships nearby, the human replied softly, "No, we are alone." His voice was polite, but something felt off. Rail ordered deeper scans. The scanners blinked, then froze, then blinked again. The readings made no sense. It was like something massive was there, but covered by a thick shadow. A shadow that swallowed every signal. The crew became uneasy. They checked their systems again and again, thinking there was an error. But there was no error. The space ahead of them was hiding something. Rail sent drones to investigate. The drones flew toward the dark zone, sending data back to the ship. Then, without warning, the signals from the drones vanished. No explosion. No damage. They simply disappeared as if the space itself swallowed them. The crew stared at the screen in silence. Rail felt cold fear crawl up his spine. He knew something powerful was out there, something even their technology could not detect. He called the human ship again, this time with a firm voice. "Your drones entered a dangerous region," the human replied. "We warn you not to scan there again." Rail felt the warning as a threat, but the human voice was still soft, still calm. Why were the humans so relaxed? Why were they not afraid of the darkness swallowing drones? The human ship was small and weak. They should be terrified. But they were not. Rail's crew began to whisper among themselves. Some thought the humans were lying. Others believed the humans themselves were scared but trying to hide it. Rail decided to take control. He activated full-spectrum scanning. The powerful waves spread into the darkness. For a moment, there was nothing. Then something giant appeared on the screen for only 1 second, like a ghost rising from the void. A massive shape, bigger than any ship they had ever seen. Then it vanished again, hiding back into silence. Fear spread across the bridge. Rail demanded all defensive shields to activate. His crew rushed to follow orders. They felt like they had touched something they were not supposed to touch. When Rail looked toward the human ship again, he saw no fear in their face. The human captain simply said, "Please stop scanning. It will wake it up." Before Rail could respond, a deep vibration shook the space around them. Lights flickered. Alarms rang. Something huge began to move behind the human ship. The darkness slowly broke apart, revealing metal. Sharp metal. Colossal metal. The alien crew gasped as a giant human dreadnought came into view. It was silent, almost asleep, but now its engines were glowing with cold blue fire. The human voice spoke again, even softer this time. Do not worry. It watches. The Dreadnought systems powered on one by one. Hundreds of weapon ports opened across its hull. The alien crew held their breath, expecting death. But the Dreadnought did not aim at them. It turned away, pointing toward the deeper side of space, where something else was coming. Something worse. Rail finally understood that the small human ship was never weak. It was bait. And the Dreadnought was its guardian. The first contact seemed calm, but the real danger had only just begun. The alien patrol ship drifted cautiously, keeping a careful distance from the massive human Dreadnought. The smaller human ship stayed between them and the hidden giant, almost like a shield. Captain Rail's crew was still trembling from the first glimpse. They had seen power beyond imagination, something that could destroy their fleet in minutes, yet it had not attacked. The calmness of the humans puzzled them. They did not understand the rules of this species yet, and that made them nervous. Rail activated the long-range sensors again, hoping to gather more information about the Dreadnought. The readings were unusual. The massive ship seemed alive, not like a machine, but like it had a mind of its own. Power flowed through it silently, almost like breathing. Every weapon, every engine, every system waited in perfect silence, as if it could wake at any moment and strike. Rail's crew stared at the screens. No ship in their history had ever shown such a presence. They felt tiny, like ants near a sleeping giant. The human captain, a calm figure on the small bridge, seemed unbothered by the Dreadnought. He was calm, polite, and collected. His eyes were steady on the monitors, and his hands rested lightly on the controls. "We warned you," he said softly. "Do not scan the hidden zone." His voice carried authority. He was not afraid of the alien fleet, nor of the massive ship behind him. Rail could not tell if the human was confident or reckless. Either way, the tension thickened. The aliens debated among themselves. Some wanted to retreat immediately. "It is too powerful. We cannot fight it," one officer whispered. Another argued, "We cannot leave. There is still much we can learn from humans. They are weak. Or are they?" Rail listened carefully. He knew caution was wise, but curiosity gnawed at him. They had discovered something no one else had. This human race held secrets they could not yet comprehend. And now, that secret was watching them silently. Meanwhile, the small human ship began a slow maneuver. It moved slightly closer to the Dreadnought, as if communicating silently with it. The alien sensors picked up subtle energy pulses, small but deliberate. Rail's crew could not understand them. The humans and their Dreadnought were connected in some way, a bond that technology alone could not explain. It made them more dangerous than anyone had thought. The aliens had seen strong fleets, powerful weapons, but this was different. This was unity, precision, control beyond imagination. The patrol ship tried to maintain calm, sending a message again. "Explain your hidden weapon," Rail demanded. Silence came first. Then the human voice replied, soft, almost like a whisper carried on the wind. "It is not a weapon against you. It is a guardian. We do not seek war." Rail's crew exchanged glances. They did not trust this explanation fully. Everything about the Dreadnought screamed power. Power that could destroy stars. How could something so massive and terrifying exist only to protect a small human ship? Their sensors were telling them one thing, but logic suggested another. The aliens decided to test the humans, sending a small probe toward the Dreadnought. It moved carefully, scanning from a safe distance. The probe sent back data: massive hull, multiple layers of armor, energy fields beyond their understanding. But the most unsettling part was the way the Dreadnought reacted. It did not attack. It simply shifted slightly, almost acknowledging the probe, as if it was aware of every movement. Rail felt a chill run through his circuits. This was not a ship. It was intelligence, watching, learning, waiting. Rail realized the humans had prepared for encounters like this. They were patient, knowing their true strength. The small research ship, the polite messages, even the warnings, they were all part of a plan. A plan to reveal only what the aliens were allowed to see. He understood now. The humans wanted to be judged on what they showed, not on what they hid. And what they hid was terrifyingly powerful. Suddenly, the Dreadnought emitted a low hum. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable, but the entire area of space seemed to vibrate slightly. The hum was like a heartbeat, slow and steady, filling the void. The alien crew felt it in their bones. Every sensor, every instrument seemed to react. The Dreadnought was alive. Not biologically, but in a way that made the aliens question their own understanding of technology. The humans had created something beyond imagination. Something that could think, react, and decide in ways no ordinary machine could. The human captain spoke again, this time directing the alien crew. Do not be afraid. We mean no harm. But some dangers are coming that even we cannot face alone. Our Dreadnought is ready for them. You may leave, or you may witness what comes next. Rail understood the warning. They had been given a choice. Retreat now, and live with knowledge of the unknown. Stay, and risk involvement in events far beyond their control. Rail looked at his crew. Fear and curiosity warred within each of them. They had discovered humans, a species appearing fragile but hiding unimaginable power. The Dreadnought was proof of a level of engineering and strategic thought beyond anything the alien empire had encountered. It was not just a ship, it was a promise, a challenge, and a warning. And in that moment, the patrol ship realized the first contact was only the beginning. The real story had not yet begun. The alien patrol ship held its position, but the tension on the bridge was unbearable. Every officer stared at the massive shadow of the human Dreadnought. Its silent presence filled the void like a sleeping giant. Captain Rail could feel the weight of it, as if space itself had grown heavier. He had faced dangerous enemies before, but nothing like this. Nothing that could watch, judge, and wait in perfect stillness. The human captain, calm as ever, gave a small nod toward his own ship. It watches and protects. Do not test it unnecessarily. His voice was soft, but there was an authority in it that made Rail hesitate. The alien crew murmured among themselves. They wanted to scan, probe, maybe even threaten the humans, but something in the Dreadnought's silence froze them in place. Rail made a decision. Send another drone. Let's get a clear reading this time, he ordered. The drone slipped silently into the darkness, its sensors searching for anything unusual. But as it approached the area behind the human ship, the Dreadnought moved. Not fast, but precise. The sensors of the drone went blank. Then, for a moment, they flickered. The image returned, and the crew froze. On the screen was a giant, glowing shape. Its armor was layered and seamless, its hull dotted with weapon ports and strange devices the aliens had never seen. But the most terrifying part was the energy field. It seemed to bend space itself, warping light and distance. The drone sent back data for only a few seconds before the signal vanished completely. It was as if the drone had been swallowed by nothingness. Rail felt a chill. He had sent fleets into war zones before, but never had he felt such complete helplessness. Bring it back, he shouted. The crew tried, but the drone never responded. The Dreadnought had not fired, had not even moved aggressively, it had simply erased their probe from existence. That single act spoke louder than 1,000 weapons. Humans were not bluffing. They were hiding a weapon that could end worlds. The human captain spoke calmly into the comm. You are lucky we choose restraint. The Dreadnought is not for attack. But it is aware. It knows everything in this zone. Rail's mind raced. Every reading, every strange movement of the Dreadnought, every disappearing drone, it made sense now. The humans had designed it to be unstoppable, to act as both shield and sentinel. It was not just protection for their ship, it was protection for something bigger. Why hide it? One of the officers asked, still trembling. Why let us come so close? Rail did not answer immediately. He realized humans had a way of showing only what they wanted others to see. The comm research vessel was bait. The hidden dreadnought was the truth. And the aliens had just glimpsed a fraction of it. The patrol ship attempted a slow retreat, scanning cautiously along the way. But the dreadnought followed them, not aggressively, just enough to remain a shadow on their sensors. The alien crew noticed the way it moved, almost like it anticipated their maneuvers. Rail realized this was no ordinary ship. Its reactions were precise, almost conscious. It was not just a machine. It was strategy made real. Suddenly, a new signal appeared on the long-range sensors. It was faint, distant, but unmistakable. Something enormous was approaching from the outer edge of the system. The human captain's voice rang in their ears again. "We are not alone. This is why the Dreadnought exists. It is a guardian for threats we cannot face in numbers alone." Rail's crew looked at him with wide eyes. The calm first contact had ended. Now, they were part of something far larger than they had imagined. The Dreadnought, their presence, and the incoming threat formed a triangle of tension that could not be ignored. The aliens had thought they were observing, learning, or even controlling the situation. Now they understood that humans had the upper hand. And the upper hand was terrifying. The Dreadnought's engines glowed softly, sending subtle pulses through space. It was alive with readiness, waiting for the unknown danger approaching from the distance. Every light on the alien ship flickered as energy readings from the Dreadnought interfered with their systems. They were no longer in control. They were observers, and the humans had written the rules. Rail took a deep breath. "We must report this," he said quietly, almost to himself. His crew nodded, but the fear was evident. They had seen power beyond their understanding, discipline beyond belief, and strategy beyond comprehension. Humans were fragile on the surface, but their hidden strength was unmatched. The small human ship moved closer to the Dreadnought. Its captain gestured silently, and the Dreadnought seemed to respond almost instinctively. Rail's crew could not see the connection, but they could feel it. The humans and their Dreadnought were one. And together, they formed a force far beyond anything the alien empire had encountered. The distant threat was getting closer. Sensors showed massive signatures, energy surges, and movement that could obliterate the entire system if unchecked. Rail looked at the human captain again. Calm, polite, unshaken. "We are ready," the human said. "We face it together. You may leave if you wish, or you may witness what comes next." For the first time, Rail realized that the aliens were not the strongest in this encounter. They were the outsiders, watching a species that had hidden its true might behind a veil of civility and patience. And now, the real story was about to begin. The Dreadnought's hidden power, the human strategy, and the approaching threat promised a battle none of them would forget. The alien patrol ship floated silently, keeping its sensors locked on the hidden human Dreadnought. The calm they had felt during first contact was gone. Fear and uncertainty filled the bridge. Captain Rail's hands gripped the controls tightly, his eyes fixed on the massive shadow looming behind the small human ship. Every officer could feel the tension in the air, thick and heavy, as if space itself had grown dangerous. The human captain remained calm. He did not speak loudly or raise his voice. He gave small, precise orders to his crew, and they followed with quiet efficiency. "Do not scan further," he said softly, his eyes never leaving the monitors. "It is not for attack. But it knows. It sees everything in this zone." The calmness of his voice only made the aliens more uneasy. How could someone remain so composed in the presence of a machine so massive and terrifying? Rail's crew began scanning cautiously again, this time focusing on the outer areas where the incoming threat had been detected. Sensors showed a faint energy signature moving rapidly toward them. It was unlike anything they had seen before, powerful, unstable, and enormous. The human Dreadnought remained still, almost like it was waiting for a signal. It did not move aggressively, but the sheer weight of its presence seemed to push the alien sensors to the limit. One of the officers whispered, "Captain, we should retreat now. That thing can destroy us in minutes." Rail nodded, but he could not bring himself to order a full retreat. Curiosity, and perhaps a sense of obligation to their empire, kept him rooted in place. They had come to witness first contact with humans, and now they were seeing a glimpse of a power they could never have imagined. The human captain finally spoke again. "There is a threat approaching from the outer rim. Our dreadnought will protect us. You may leave if you wish. But you will see that we are not helpless." His words were calm, but the meaning was clear. The aliens were outsiders in this situation. They had no control here. Humans held the advantage, hidden behind a small, polite research vessel and a ship of unimaginable power. Suddenly, the distant threat became clearer on the sensors. It was massive, moving faster than anything the alien technology could track accurately. Energy readings spiked, alarms rang throughout the ship, and the bridge was filled with tension so thick it was almost visible. The dreadnought remained still, but subtle changes in its energy output were noticeable. Its systems hummed quietly, responding to the threat before it had even arrived. Rail could not believe it. The dreadnought was alive in a way he had never seen before. Not biologically, but intelligently. Every movement, every energy pulse, every reaction seemed deliberate, calculated, and precise. It was as if the massive ship itself was aware of the situation and making decisions independently. The aliens had seen many weapons, many powerful fleets, but nothing like this. The small human ship moved slightly, closer to the dreadnought. The human captain gestured with his hands in small, deliberate motions. The dreadnought responded instantly, adjusting its position, its weapon systems activating silently, its shields glowing faintly. Rail's crew watched in awe. This was not just coordination. It was connection. Humans and their dreadnought were linked in a way that the aliens could not comprehend. As the approaching threat drew nearer, the alien sensors could only track fragments of it. Energy bursts, rapid movements, and immense power radiated from the unknown entity. The human captain remained calm. "We do not fear it," he said quietly. "Our dreadnought will handle what comes." There was no arrogance in his voice, only quiet confidence. That confidence unnerved Rail even more. Then, without warning, a massive wave of energy exploded in space near the dreadnought. The sensors shook, and the alien ship was pushed slightly off course. The small human vessel remained unaffected. The dreadnought's shields flared, absorbing the energy silently, almost lazily, as if it were a minor inconvenience. The aliens stared in disbelief. This was not a ship, they realized. It was a fortress, a sentinel, and a weapon all at once. Rail felt fear creeping into his mind. He had seen civilizations destroyed, planets conquered, and fleets obliterated, but humans had hidden a force far beyond anything he had ever imagined. The calm research vessel was a mask. The dreadnought was the truth. And now, they were about to witness its full power. The distant threat drew closer, massive energy waves rippling through space, heading directly toward the human ships. The dreadnought powered up fully, engines glowing blue, weapon arrays aligning silently. It did not fire yet. It did not strike. It waited, calculating, watching, ready. The humans had taught it patience, precision, and strategy. Rail's crew felt frozen. They had expected a battle, explosions, chaos, but instead, they saw control, discipline, and an intelligence that far surpassed their understanding. The first contact had seemed calm. Now, it was clear that the calm was deliberate, a strategy. Humans had hidden the truth behind civility, patience, and silence. The dreadnought was their shield, their guardian, and perhaps the only thing standing between the galaxy and a threat even greater than themselves. As the energy waves approached, the bridge went silent. Every officer waited. The aliens realized they were not in charge. They were observers, witnesses to a force they could barely comprehend. And as the dreadnought shifted, ready to respond, Rail knew the first real test of human power was about to begin. The story they thought they were part of had only just started. The alien patrol ship drifted silently, watching as the distant energy waves approached. Captain Rail felt every sensor spike in his chest, as if the tension had become a living thing. The calm that had marked first contact was gone. Now there was only fear, curiosity, and awe. The small human ship hovered in front of the Dreadnought, like a shield, but the truth was clear. It was the humans who were truly in control. The Dreadnought remained still, silent but alive. Its massive hull reflected the faint light of distant stars. Every weapon array, every shield generator, every engine waited, hidden but ready. Rail's crew stared at the monitors, unable to comprehend the scale of it. They had seen battles before, but nothing like this. This ship was not just power. It was a fortress, a weapon, and a guardian, all at once. Then, the Dreadnought systems began to hum. Not violently, but with a deep, steady resonance that filled the void. The alien crew felt it in their bones. The hum was a signal, a pulse, a warning. Every sensor in the alien ship began to behave strangely, flickering and failing intermittently. The Dreadnought was alive in a way they could not measure. It was aware of them, aware of the approaching threat, and aware of every move they made. The small human ship moved closer, sending subtle signals to the Dreadnought. Almost instantly, the massive vessel responded. Weapons arrays rotated silently, shields glowed faintly, and engines shifted to precise positions. The alien crew could see it, but could not understand it. Every action was deliberate, calculated, and perfect. It was not chaos. It was control beyond imagination. "Captain, it's preparing," one of the officers whispered, his voice trembling. Rail nodded, his hands tight on the controls. He realized that the humans had planned this. Every warning, every polite message, every calm gesture had been part of a strategy. The Dreadnought was the hidden truth, the ultimate tool, and the humans had chosen the moment to reveal it. Suddenly, a beam of blue energy shot from the Dreadnought toward the approaching threat. The beam was massive, precise, and unstoppable. The alien sensors struggled to measure it. The distant threat recoiled, energy surges colliding with the Dreadnought's shields, but the human vessel remained untouched. It was like watching a god play with storms in space. The aliens had never seen a weapon act with such precision. Rail's crew held their breath as more systems powered up. Missile bays opened, energy cannons aligned, and defensive shields pulsed like living veins across the Dreadnought's hull. The aliens realized the scale of the weaponry. It was hundreds of times more powerful than anything they had ever seen. And yet, the humans on the small ship remained calm. Their confidence was absolute. The approaching threat, massive and unstable, fired back. Energy waves tore through space, crashing toward the Dreadnought and the small ship. The Dreadnought's shields flared, absorbing the energy effortlessly. Every impact was calculated, every countermeasure precise. The aliens could only watch, frozen in fear and awe. What they had assumed was a simple research vessel was actually the control center of a weapon beyond imagination. Rail tried to communicate again, to warn the humans, to demand answers. But the human captain did not respond with fear. Instead, he spoke calmly into the comm. "Do not interfere. You are not part of this. Observe and understand." The words were not arrogant. They were a command. The humans had hidden power, patience, and strategy. They had chosen exactly what to reveal and when. The Dreadnought continued its silent assault, taking down the incoming threat with perfect precision. Energy beams sliced through the void, missiles adjusted their trajectory mid-flight, and shields flared in synchronized harmony. The aliens could only watch, powerless to intervene. For the first time, Rail understood the scale of human ingenuity. They were fragile on the surface, but beneath that fragility lay a force the galaxy had never expected. Finally, the threat was neutralized. The space around them was calm once more, the Dreadnought silent again, as if it had never moved. The small human ship hovered in front of it, a quiet sentinel. Rail and his crew were left staring at the aftermath, unable to speak. They had witnessed power, precision, and strategy beyond anything they could comprehend. The human captain spoke again, quietly, almost gently. "This is why we hide our strength. This is why first contact appears calm. We are explorers. But we are prepared. And we are patient." His words sank into the aliens' minds. They realized the truth. Humans were not to be underestimated. Their calm demeanor was not weakness. It was strategy. Their small ships were not fragile. They were part of a design far greater than the aliens could imagine. Rael finally understood that the first contact had only been an introduction. The humans had revealed a glimpse of their true power, enough to terrify, enough to awe, but not everything. The Dreadnought, hidden until the perfect moment, had shown them what humans could do. And the aliens knew, in that silent moment, that the story had only begun. The galaxy was about to see humans in a way no one had expected, and the first lesson was clear: underestimate them at your own peril. The silence of space was broken by a low hum. At first, it was barely noticeable, but it grew steadily, filling the alien patrol ship with vibrations they could feel in their bones. Captain Rael stared at the monitors, dread and awe mixing in his chest. The human Dreadnought, which had seemed almost passive before, was now stirring with life. Its systems glowed brighter, engines radiating a calm but immense energy. The aliens had never seen a ship awaken like this. The small human ship moved closer to the Dreadnought, almost as if it were guiding it. The human captain spoke calmly into the comms. "It is time. Protocol. Guardian mode activated." The alien crew froze. They did not understand what Guardian mode meant, but they could see it in action. The Dreadnought's massive hull shifted slightly, aligning with perfect precision, as if calculating an unseen enemy. Every weapon, every shield, every energy array came online simultaneously, silently, perfectly coordinated. Energy surged across the Dreadnought, lighting up the dark void like a calm storm. Shields glimmered in multiple layers, bending light around the ship. Massive weapon arrays rotated, aligning toward distant points in space. The alien cruise sensors struggled to keep up. The Dreadnought was no longer just a machine. It was intelligence, strategy, and firepower combined into a single unstoppable entity. Rael ordered his crew to remain calm, but even he could feel the fear creeping in. They had seen weapons before, but never weapons that thought, that waited, that acted with perfect precision before the enemy had even moved. The humans had hidden this power deliberately, revealing only enough to show their capability without provoking panic. Now, the full might of the Dreadnought was visible, and it was terrifying. Then the distant threat appeared clearly on the sensors. A massive fleet, unlike anything the aliens had encountered before, approached rapidly. Its energy readings were extreme, unstable, and chaotic. The human captain did not panic. He looked at the Dreadnought and nodded. The Dreadnought responded instantly. Energy beams lit up across its hull. Shields flared to maximum capacity. Engines glowed blue, ready to propel the massive vessel with precision and speed. The first strike came suddenly. A massive energy wave surged toward the humans, threatening to tear the small research vessel apart. The Dreadnought moved faster than the eye could follow. It intercepted the attack with its shields, absorbing the wave without any visible damage. Energy reflected across its hull, and the aliens could see the force of the blow dissipate into the void. The Dreadnought had not fired a single weapon, yet it had already neutralized a catastrophic threat. Rael's crew was speechless. Every officer stared at the monitors, trying to comprehend what they were witnessing. The humans had built a weapon unlike any other. A single Dreadnought, guided by intelligence and strategy, could hold off an entire fleet. And yet, it was patient. It did not strike immediately. It did not attack unnecessarily. It waited, calculated, and reacted only when required. This was control, discipline, and power combined into one terrifying machine. The human captain spoke again, softly. "Do not fear. It is not here to harm you. It is here to protect." His words seemed almost poetic against the backdrop of glowing shields and massive weapon arrays. The aliens could not understand fully, but they felt the truth in it. Humans had strength beyond their imagination. Strength they had hidden carefully until the right moment. As the distant threat closed in, the Dreadnought finally made its first offensive move. Energy beams fired from hidden arrays, striking with precision that was almost artistic. Massive projectiles moved with perfect guidance, targeting weaknesses in the enemy fleet. Every movement was coordinated. Every strike was deliberate. The aliens watched in awe as the massive threat was reduced systematically, without panic, without error. The Dreadnought shifted again, moving to shield the smaller human ship. Its engines glowed brighter, creating a protective field around the vessel. The aliens realized something terrifying. The humans had designed this weapon not just for attack, but for protection, for strategy, for survival. It was not just power, it was foresight, patience, and intelligence combined into a single entity. Rael understood the magnitude of what they had witnessed. Humans were not weak. Their calm demeanor, their small research vessels, their polite communication, all of it was a mask. Beneath it lay a force capable of defending not just themselves, but perhaps the galaxy. The Dreadnought was proof that humans could think, plan, and act beyond any empire's comprehension. The approaching threat was in ruins, yet the Dreadnought remained vigilant. Its engines glowed, its weapons were ready, and its sensors scanned the horizon. The humans had revealed their secret, and the aliens had seen it firsthand. They knew now that the first contact had been only the beginning. The humans had hidden power, patience, and strategy. And the galaxy would soon understand that under calmness and civility lay a force unstoppable and unyielding. The alien patrol ship drifted silently, barely daring to breathe. Space was calm again, but only on the surface. Captain Rael and his crew could feel the tension like a storm pressing in from all directions. The human Dreadnought hovered nearby, colossal and perfect, its shields still glowing softly, weapons arrays silent but ready. The small research vessel floated in front of it like a quiet sentinel, calm, polite, and perfectly in control. The distant threat had been destroyed, or at least, neutralized, but the aliens knew this was only the beginning. Sensors picked up strange energy surges coming from deeper space, signals they could not identify. The humans, however, remained calm. The human captain looked at the Dreadnought and nodded. "It is ready," he said softly. "Whatever comes next, we face it together." Rael's crew stared at him. They wanted to ask questions, demand answers, or perhaps retreat entirely. But no words came. They had witnessed power beyond comprehension. A single human Dreadnought had held off what would have destroyed entire fleets. And it had done so with precision, intelligence, and patience. Humans were fragile only on the surface. Beneath it lay a force no one had imagined, a force that could change the balance of power across the galaxy. Suddenly, a massive shadow appeared at the edge of the sensor range. Its energy readings were enormous, chaotic, and terrifying. This was not a fleet. It was a single entity, moving with deadly speed, its presence shaking the very sensors of the alien ship. The Dreadnought shifted instantly, engines glowing blue, shields flaring, weapons aligning. Every system powered up in perfect synchrony. It was alive, aware, and fully awake now. The human captain turned toward the alien patrol ship. "This is why we warned you," he said gently. "We do not seek war, but some dangers are greater than any one species. Our Dreadnought is here to protect, not just humans, but all who are willing to stand with us." His calm voice carried authority, but also an unmistakable warning. The aliens understood instantly. Underestimate humans and you risk everything. Rael's crew watched in awe as the Dreadnought moved. Its engines ignited silently, propelling it forward with grace and speed that belied its massive size. Energy beams extended outward, scanning the approaching threat with surgical precision. Every weapon fired only when necessary, striking weak points, deflecting attacks, neutralizing danger without unnecessary destruction. It was strategy made real, intelligence turned into action. The alien patrol ship realized that humans had not only technology but discipline, foresight, and patience beyond any empire's comprehension. Every move of the Dreadnought was calculated. Every reaction was precise. And behind it, the small research vessel guided it, not as a commander, but as a partner. Humans and their Dreadnought were connected in a way no other species could match. As the massive approaching entity closed in, the Dreadnought activated its final defensive array. Shields shimmered with impossible energy, bending space itself, redirecting incoming attacks harmlessly into the void. Weapon ports opened along the hull, revealing systems that had been hidden for centuries. The alien sensors could barely comprehend the scale. This was not just a ship. It was an entire arsenal, a fortress, and a guardian all in one. Then, with perfect timing, the Dreadnought fired. Energy beams, missiles, and guided projectiles struck the approaching threat simultaneously. Every strike was calculated, exploiting weaknesses before the enemy even knew where to defend. The alien patrol ship watched in silence, knowing that if they had been in the path of this force, they would have been obliterated instantly. The massive entity writhed and faltered under the attack. The Dreadnought moved with precision, covering the small human ship completely. It did not destroy recklessly, it neutralized intelligently. And all the while, the human captain remained calm, guiding the Dreadnought with quiet gestures and words. When the threat was finally neutralized, the space around them fell silent again. The Dreadnought hovered, engines glowing softly, shields dimming but still active. The small human vessel floated calmly in front of it, perfectly unharmed. Rail realized the full truth: humans had hidden power beyond any empire's imagination. Their calm demeanor, their polite words, their small ships, all were a mask. Underneath lay strength, patience, and intelligence that could challenge the galaxy itself. The human captain spoke again, gently, but with finality. "Do not fear us. We do not seek war. But we will protect ourselves, our allies, and this galaxy from what you cannot face alone. Remember this moment. Humans appear small, fragile, and polite, but our strength lies in what you cannot see. Underestimate us at your peril." Rail's crew felt the weight of his words. They had thought first contact was simple, polite, and harmless. Now they understood, it had been a carefully controlled display. Humans had shown just enough to warn, just enough to awe, and just enough to survive. The first contact was only the beginning. The real story, the humans, their hidden dreadnoughts, and the threats that lurked in the void, was only just beginning. And in that moment, the alien patrol ship realized something terrifying. The calm they had encountered at first contact was a choice. Humans were patient. Humans were hidden power. Humans were strategy. And now, the galaxy would know their true strength.